Faith and business of speculators. What other force on earth, except faith, could do as much? There will come a day when employees, as well as employers, will discover the possibilities of faith. That day is dawning. The whole world has had ample opportunity during the recent business depression to witness that the lack of faith will do to business. Surely, civilization has produced a sufficient number of intelligent human beings to make use of this great lesson, which the Depression has taught the world. During this Depression, the world had evidence, and in abundance, that widespread fear will paralyze the wheels of industry and business. Out of this experience will arise leaders of business and industry who will profit by the example which Gandhi has set for the world, and they will apply to business the same tactics which he has used in building the greatest following known in the history of the world. Okay, that was Gandhi. But what Henry Ford says. Group of men, speculative turn of mind, organized the Detroit Automobile Company to exploit my car. I was the chief engineer. For 3 years, we continued making cars and sold very few of them. I could get no support at all toward making better cars to be sold to the public at large. The whole thought was to make order and to get the largest price possible for each car. The main idea seemed to be to get the money. The main idea seemed to be to get the money. The most surprising feature of business as it was conducted was the large attention given to finance, large attention, and the small attention to service, small attention to service. The second to be reversing the natural process, which is that the money should come as a result of work, a result of service, and not before. Not before. The second feature was the general indifference to better methods of manufacture as long as whatever was done got by and took the money. In other words, article apparently was not built with reference to how greatly it could serve the public, but with reference solely to how much money could be had for it, and that without any particular care whether the customer was satisfied or not. To sell him was enough. To sell him was enough. The automobile business was not what I would call on honest basis, to say nothing being from manufacturing standpoint on a scientific basis, but it was no worse than business in general. That was the period, it may be remembered, in which many corporations were being floated and financed. The bankers, who before then had confined themselves to the railroads, got into industry. My idea was then, and still is, that if a man did his work well, the price he would get for that work, the profits, and all financial matters would care for themselves, and that a business ought to start small. Business ought to start small and build itself up out of its earnings. Out of its earnings. Out of its earnings. If there are no earnings, then that is a signal to the owner that he is wasting his time and does not belong in that business, or should start again but more wisely. Start again but more wisely. I have never found it necessary to change my ideas, but I discovered that this simple formula of doing good work and getting paid for it was supposed to be slow for modern business. Slow for modern business. The plan at that time most in favor was to start off with the largest possible capitalization and then sell all the stock and bonds that could be sold. Whatever money happened to be left over after all the stock and bond selling expenses and promoters' charges and all that went grudgingly into the foundation of business. A good business was not one that did good work and earned a fair profit. A good business was one that would give the opportunity for the floating of a large amount of stocks and bonds and at high prices. Large amount stock and bonds at high prices. It was the stocks and bonds, not the work, that mattered. Stock and bonds, not the work, what mattered. I could not see how a new or even old business could be expected to be able to charge into its product a great big bond interest and then sell the product at a fair price. Never been able to see that. Never been able. Therefore, they say that a proper charge against the operating expenses of a business is the interest on their money. This idea is at the root of many business failures. It is the root of failures, this idea. What's the idea? Proper charge against the operating expenses of a business is the interest on their money. Money is not worth a particular amount. As money, it is not worth anything, for it will do nothing of itself. The only use of money is to buy tools to work with, or the materials, product of tools. Any return should come after it has produced, not before. I determined absolutely that never would I join a company in which finance came before the work, or in which bankers or financiers had a part, and further that if there were no way to get started in the kind of business that I thought could be managed in the interest of public, then I simply would not get started at all. For my own short experience, together with what I saw going on around me, was quite enough proof that business as a mere money-making game was not worth giving much thought to, and was distinctly no place for a man who wanted to accomplish anything. Also, it did not seem to me to be the way to make money. I have yet to have demonstrated that it is the way, for the only foundation of real business is the service. Only foundation is the service. And that was the prime cause of depression, the business of speculators. All other reasons was collateral. Collateral. That's it. Thank you very much. To be brave, Henry.